With recent news that Lewis Hamilton is moving to Ferrari, I want to talk about how Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton and Toto Wolff ended the dynasty that was Mercedes. Now, a lot of things have happened over the past 12 months, which have really led to Lewis Hamilton making this decision. I'm going to go through them with you all, and you can see just why Lewis Hamilton is moving to Ferrari. So, to start off with, we're going to go all the way back to Abu Dhabi 2021. Now, if you think for 1 minute Christian Horner, Fred Vasseur, John Elkann is going to let their driver have the championship stolen in the way that Lewis's was, you've got another thing coming. The fact that Toto Wolff was seen just hours later partying, crowd surfing, it must have been a kick in the teeth for Lewis, for a friend of his to seem to show no care in the world. Now, I completely understand Mercedes still won the Constructors' title, but that was an absolute joke. You don't take a lawyer to the track and then not follow through, not actually do something about it. And for me, if Lewis was at Ferrari or even Red Bull, that never would have happened. He would have had that championship in his hands that night. Like, no joke, it would have been dealt with. But Toto Wolff didn't seem to do it. And then obviously more things Toto Wolff has done. You look at, obviously, him and George, Lewis and George have been fighting this year. And over the past 2 years, obviously Lewis and George have been fighting. Last year, George always seemed to get the solid strategy. Always got the benefit calls when it came to safety cars and things like that. Even qualifying when they go out and things like that always seem to be catered towards George and not towards what Lewis needed. You look at the way they developed the car. Look, you look at the decision that I completely understand that zero pods is not the reason why they were slow. The zero pod is just a part of the foundations of the car. And I completely understand that the car starts at the nose, it goes all the way back, and the aerodynamic planes, the characteristics of the car come from a range of different things, but the pods do have an effect. That's why they're there, and they continue to follow down that path despite Lewis offering numerous times just to the media. Now, what he was saying in private, I don't want to know, but what he was saying to the media was it just wasn't working. They needed to make a change, and they didn't. Heading into the next season, they obviously hoped that they'd get back to winning ways last season, and they didn't. And obviously, those are decisions that Toto would sign off on, the development team would sign off on. And obviously, James Allison came back to develop the 2024 car for this season. We're obviously yet to see it. We'll see it in just a few weeks' time. I think they're announcing and showing everything on the 14th. It's going to be really interesting to see what Lewis Hamilton has to say on that day. But there's just a few reasons why Toto Wolff has ruined what was a very good relationship and a dynasty, really. And then let's talk on to the contracts. And Lewis Hamilton, 8-time world champion, 104 race wins, 104 pole positions, nearly 200 podiums. Now, you can say what you want in the comments about his world championships, race wins, say what you want. I'm one up on both, and it's going to stay that way. But to disrespect in the way that they have, there was talk of 5-year contracts not 8 months ago, and 10-year ambassadorial roles. And then what happens? It just disappears. Originally, when the contract came out, I thought it was a flat 2-year deal, and I was like, well, that's not too bad. 2 years, Lewis will be, what will he be, 40, heading into 2026, maybe 41, and you're like, give him the opportunity to decide if he wants to go on his own terms. But what it turned out to be was a 1+1. I spoke about it in yesterday's video about who I think will replace him. If you want to watch that video, make sure to click the corner and go and check that out after you've watched this video. But going to a 1+1, realistically to me, they were trying to treat Lewis Hamilton like they did Valtteri Bottas. Now, don't get me wrong, Valtteri Bottas got an extremely good send-off and Mercedes treated him extremely well. But what they did do was push Bottas into moving. They wanted George Russell, they pushed him into moving. Now, I'm not quite sure who they want to replace Lewis, and to be completely honest, I don't think Mercedes know. But it all stems from that 1+1, and if I'm Lewis Hamilton, I'd have felt really disrespected, and I completely understand why he gets out of that contract and goes, you know what, I'm going to go and talk to Ferrari. They've made informal offers. Let's see if I can get a proper one, see what's going on. Because he could have been left without a drive for 2026. And even for 2025, really, because it was a 1+1. There was no reason that Mercedes couldn't have just turned around at the end of 24 and gone, you know what, we don't want you anymore. And imagine putting Lewis Hamilton in that position, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. They'd never have done that to Michael Schumacher. You won't ever see Red Bull do that to Max Verstappen. And it just doesn't make sense to me. And now, the Mercedes dynasty, it's going to be over by the time Lewis joins Ferrari. You've already got a range of engineers that have already agreed moves to Ferrari prior to Lewis Hamilton agreeing his move. And obviously at that point in time, Lewis Hamilton was staying at Mercedes and the thought was he was going to be there for life. But now Lewis Hamilton's going to Ferrari. These engineers are going. Is Bono going to go to Ferrari? Obviously, Lewis has been with Bono for what? He's been with him at Mercedes for the past 11 years, maybe, something like that, which is ridiculous to think of. Is he going to follow him to Ferrari? I personally think it doesn't even need to be asked. I think he will. I think he'll be at Maranello. I think they'll sort something out so that it works, and I do think he'll still be the race engineer. There's also reports coming out today that Lewis Hamilton is trying to encourage Shove to move to Ferrari. Andrew Chauvelin, who's a key part of Mercedes. He's been within the team that is now called Mercedes since about 1999, I believe, which is longer than I've even been alive, which is ridiculous to think. But will Shove go? I think that shows a real true display of where Mercedes are going depending on what he decides. Obviously, he's got to be offered something from Ferrari first. He's got to go to Ferrari, see what's going on. But if he goes, I think it says a lot. Obviously, you've also got to think about, you've got all the other engineers that have gone. You've got all the other staff members that have gone. Like Mercedes, the people who make the power unit, loads of them have moved recently. You've got some that have gone to Red Bull, some have gone to Ferrari. And it's like, there's been so much change over the past 2-3 years that it's not the team that it was when they were winning every week. And I think that was key in Lewis's decision to move to Ferrari. And it's the major player in the dynasty ending at Mercedes. Can they end it this season with a championship? You'll have to let me know down in the comments. I'm sure we're all going to be watching what's going on in Formula 1 this season. If you want to keep up to date with all my content, I'll be making loads of videos regarding Formula 1 over the season and off season, so make sure to keep your eyes peeled on that. I also talk a lot about football, so make sure if you enjoy that, you hit that subscribe button. Comment down below what you think about Lewis and Mercedes splitting ways, and let me know who you think's at fault for the decision for Lewis to move to Ferrari. Obviously, thank you for watching this video. I'll catch you in my next one. Make sure to go and find me on TikTok, pictured here, and Twitter, pictured here. These are the places where I'll keep you all up to date with all my upcoming videos and my thoughts and feelings around the Formula 1 and football weekend.